Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 269. Show coverage from the inaugural Triple Crown of Rotting, Nashville Superspeedway. Here we go.
To be honest, it takes me back about 25 years to like the Good Guys shows, the first big Good Guys show. It's amazing. The quality of the cars is top notch. The people, I mean, I've seen people here that I haven't seen in 30 years. You know what I mean? Builders, vendors. It's like a high school reunion, and it's not ending. I'm still in awe. It's amazing.
Damn, son. Seeing is believing, and our title sponsor, United Pacific, makes seeing a whole lot easier. The crispness of the United Pacific LED headlights, taillights, marker lights, and more makes seeing and showing your truck that much better. It's time to upgrade your old dim halogens for new LED headlights, taillights, and more. They offer the brightest and latest LED technology. Headlights are available up to 1,600 lumens, easy to install, and it fits right in the OEM housing. How about upgrading to sequential taillights? They're DOT approved and ready to ship today. And for you 73 to 80 GMC and Chevy square body guys, they've got the new front parking lights, LED with stainless steel bezel. Think UP Car Parts. That's upcarparts.com.
Let me tell you what Melba's Toast is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth clapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What is up? What is up, C10 Nation? How about a little inaugural Triple Crown of Rotting? What a fun show. I'm so glad I made it out there. Took my wife, had a great time. She hadn't been out to Nashville, so we had headed out there a few years back for SETN. And I said, babe, we got to go. You got to see Nashville. It's the bachelorette capital of the world, I guess. So if you're single and you're looking for love in all the wrong places, head to Nash Vegas. There is a lot going on. Ultimately, great show and just a great time. Thursday, we get into town and we head over to the host hotel. They had a really cool pre-party. It was kind of a VIP pre-party. The parking lot was full. And then inside they had, they had the trophies, they had food, or kind of a more of a hors d'oeuvre type situation. And you got some alcohol tickets, and you're just, hanging, right? Some pre-party fun, talking, and then hit the road running Friday all day out at the Nashville Superspeedway. The bottom line to take away from this is obviously through C10 Talk, C10 Nation, OBS Talk, our social platforms, you're going to see the trucks. But there was a lot of very high-end rides. You had your roadsters, your rods, your muscle cars, resto mods. Obviously, the trucks were well represented, really well represented. And I think ultimately, we've talked about this multiple times, but you start to see a little bit of a shift, right? Where we grew up, the old guys were driving the 32 Fords, and then the guys that were, the 70s and the 80s are driving the muscle cars. Well, now the 80s and 90s and 2000 kids, we're all, looking for the SUVs, the trucks, and that's our era of passion when it comes to vehicles. So you're getting a huge blend at the Triple Crown of Rotting. They did a great job. It was so well laid out at the Nashville Superspeedway. They had some of the premier vehicles in a certain spot, and they kind of separated some stuff in the way they had the vendors. Really well laid out. Tons and tons of high quality builds. Just really well put together. So I would highly recommend it. What I think is going to end up happening is you're going to see guys who build hot rods, who build muscle cars, who are going to be like, you know what? I've always wanted to build a truck. And you're going to see some truck guys that might say, hey, I've always kind of wanted to have that muscle car, or maybe do some sort of roadster or hot rod. So I just think that when you get to see that high level of quality, workmanship, craftsmanship, and talent, that you are motivated and inspired. Just like when I interviewed Gary at 267, kind of a pre-pod, he definitely said that. He mentioned the inspiration. So ultimately, I think this is going to become a premier show, a premier event. I'm stoked I went to the first one. I definitely plan to get back. Had a great time. Got to see some old friends, got to see some new friends. And I think the content that I was able to bring and get in the interviews is really top notch for this event. So it's really top notch for this pod. So I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you jump into the socials so you get that perspective, whether it's Mark's van, whether it's Cody's Blazer. There's so much going on. Rodney had the crew cab, really well done. And he doesn't have social. So when you don't have social, you're just, my mind's blown. You're like, dude, you got to let the world see this. So obviously I take that and I say, all right, I want to let my audience, you guys, the C10 Nation, the tribe, and know that, what's being built out there, because it is inspiring and there's just really some awesome shit going on. Rodney, for example, the crew cab, 79 crew cab, he said he's been working on the thing for 5 years. So when you think about that and that journey, you're like, bro, come on, get on social, get in the forum, get on Facebook, get on IG, something, because we want to see that. We want to see that process. But ultimately, a really good show, great time. And then, going into Nash Vegas, partying, my wife and I, and getting that time together. So I'd highly recommend it for you guys. If you get a chance, get some of your buddies, maybe bring some wives, and, turn it into a fun, vacation. Really, we go to the show all day and then hit Nash Vegas at night. And sure, it gets a little tiring. And there is a decent distance between the super speedway and Nash Vegas. So, we rented a car, but you can hang out at the host hotel and the group of hotels there, and there was plenty going on. So you don't have to run into Nash Vegas if you don't want to, or if you get tired of it, or you're like, yeah, maybe I'll do it for one day. But either way, highly recommend the show. Had a really, really good time. All right, some shows this weekend. You might tune into this by the time these shows are already passed, but we got a busy weekend. Right now, you've got the inaugural Grand National Truck Show out in Pomona, California. We did interview Kevin and John for 268. That was a pre-show pod. And then C10's in the Park, Waxahachie, Texas. By far one of my favorite shows. Love getting out there. That's both this weekend. You've got Texas, you got Cali, so well represented. I thought I was going to be able to make it out to GNTS, but couldn't get it off work. It's just one of those things where in the fire department is when I do vacation, first of all, it's not available. And then if you do trade time, you got to trade it back. And I had some time owed to me, but those guys were already working or had plans. So it just gets to be a little bit where if it's like, and I work 2 straight days, so it's 48 hours. So nonetheless, I didn't make it out to GNTS. I'm not going to make it. Safe travels out there. I wish everybody good luck. I hope the show kicks ass and everybody has a really good time, especially for this inaugural event. I love hitting the first ones. C10's in the Park, always. I know a couple of the homies out here in Arizona are headed out there, so safe travels to everybody, both going to GNTS and C10's in the Park. And then back at the Nashville Super Speedway, September, I think it's 29th and 30th, is C10 Nationals. So that ought to be a fun one too. Back to back right there. So those Tennessee folks, they've got it made. And I know a lot of people that were out at the Triple Crown said they were going to be right back there, obviously in a few weeks. So September, that wraps up September. Then October, we've got the C10 Fall Revival. They skipped in 22, but they're going to be at a new location. October 20th and 21st, C10 Fall Revival. That's in North Carolina. And then in November, the Granddaddy, November 10th and 11th, the 13th annual Dino's Chevy Only Get Down. Always a great time. So many people out in Nashville when I was out there this weekend, they're like, hey, we're going to see you guys at Dino's. So it's going to be a massive show, November 10th and 11th. There's a lot going on. You've got the pre-party on the west side, which is going to be at Trey Fives. And then you got the east side one in Mesa. That's going to be in downtown Mesa. That's going to be a great one too. So a lot going on. We'll do some posting and some more talking about that as time comes up. So plenty going on. That's going to be those pre-parties for the Get Down are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you've got to get down, and then you can head on out on Sunday. All right? Safe travels to everybody this weekend. Headed out to those Texas and Cali shows. We do appreciate it. And again, thanks for tuning in to everybody that took time to allow me to interview him during the inaugural show. We do appreciate it. Hope you guys dig it. Thanks again for tuning in. Questions, comments, concerns, hit me up, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, RONNIE at Truck Talk Media. It's that easy. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the pod. Late. All right, we're kicking it off. We're kicking off the Triple Crown of Roddy, and why not start with Bryan? Bryan, you got something coming up. I want to hear about it. I know you reached out the other day. Hey, we're going to put some stuff together. It's all going to good cause. Harrison's Rod and Custom. You always are hustling. There's a lot going on. Tell us about this event.
So it's going to be GM Truck Fair, Greenville, Tennessee, Fairgrounds in Greene County. Sponsored by AMD, myself, UBT, and Discover Greenville, which is our Chamber of Commerce. All Chevy GM truck show at the fairgrounds on Saturday night after the show. The top 20, my 3, and the AMD 3 caravan downtown on display on our new renovated Depot Street. Live band, food trucks, all that. That's on October 7th. On October 6th, when you get to town, we got the rooftop terrace of General Morgan Inn. It's a historic hotel that's been redone downtown. We've got it rented for the night, food, cash bar. We're going to auction off these items I was asking you about, autographed things and different parts and stuff. Just whatever we can get coming in between now and then, because stuff's starting to come in. We got some stuff I don't want to say yet, but we're going to have an auction there that night. All the money, we're not taking a dime for me, not for the city or anything. All the money goes to a scholarship fund we're starting for kids looking to get into fab, paint, mechanics, AC in cars, as long as it pertains to the hot rod industry, because let's face it, if we don't get them out there doing something, we're not going to have anywhere to go. These people can't live forever, and people are not getting into that, and a lot of these kids have got a good heart, they got a lot of talent to get told no too much. So I want to be able to, kid cleans up, comes in, sit down with me and interview, tell me your plan. What are you going to do? What are you going to try to do? We got some money available, I'll grant you some money and help you go through your schooling. And you know what? They go do a good job, they show a little aptitude. Who knows? We might retain them for us. We might give them a job. I don't know. How better are you going to vet them? But the show is strictly for the kids, young people looking to go to school.
Well, and ultimately, I love what you're saying is, hey, we might just get a kid started in it. He might stick with it. She might stick with it. Absolutely. They might not. Or sometimes kids say, hey, I got my foot wet. I got a taste of this, and now I want to go to this trade school. I want to go to Wildtech, but I've been told no by whoever, and I can't afford it. Can I come forward? Can I get a partial? Can I get something? And that's all what we need, because the only thing that you hear, or the biggest thing you should hear, I say, is if I talk to a paint and body guy, if I talk to a hot rod builder, it don't matter who I'm talking to, they're having a tough time finding and or retaining good help.
It's exactly right. And here again, everybody doesn't go to college. That's not for everybody. You can make a great living and an honest living in this job, and you can make an above average living if you're good. But let's go start on the ground. Let's cultivate that, and let's help you up through the ranks and get you started, and then see where it goes from there. But I've been blessed with work to do. I've got a family. I've got 2 jobs. I don't need to go make a show to make extra money. I want to put it to these kids. I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm going to be fine. We just want to help the kids, and we're not taking a dime from it. It goes to be a Harrison Rod and Custom Scholarship Fund.
Well, and ultimately, and I appreciate you saying that, but ultimately at the end of the day, if you're a kid out there and you're listening to this podcast, do not be discouraged. You got to hustle. You got to work. You might have to sweep a floor or 2. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to build, you want to get your hands dirty, you want to craft, you want to become a craftsman, and you want to do that, then the hot rod industry will welcome you. The truck industry, the aftermarket industry will welcome you, and there is a plan. And Bryan and your team and everything that you got going on, it's going to be one more thing to help every one of these kids.
Yeah, we're hoping so, and we're looking to make it an annual event. We're not going to do it once and quit. And the town's behind us. They're kind of rolling out the carpet, saying, hey, bring your trucks, come stay with us, come see what East Tennessee's about. It's a good place, good laid back, low key town. Like I said, most of the downtown's being redone, so we're going to be one of the first things down there on that street. So it's nice when a town supports you. They get behind us. They know we're a member of the chamber. They know my businesses, we're a legit business, and we're trying to do things. So we're all working in it together and just for the common good. So
October 6th, October 7th, mark down the dates. You got a lot of good people behind you. We'll look forward to sending some stuff, and appreciate you doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate you.
Friday morning. We just got here, and right out of the gate, I've got Mark Pearson out of Sarasota, Florida, Mark's Hot Rod Garage, and you guys know this from Instagram. This van is just absolutely a stunner. The old Chevy G10 73 Mark. I've seen it, we posted up. The big thing that sticks out for me is the orange color and then the big, huge hoops. You've got the HRBB 2414s in the rear. Tell us about your van, brother.
Well, when I was 16 in 1973, I had a orange Chevy van with orange shag carpeting. So a buddy of mine in Sarasota had a 73 G10 Chevy van. And I told him when he was ready to sell it, give me a shot at it. And I bought it, and originally was just going to put a paint job on it and a set of wheels and drive it. But one thing turned into another, and we ended up modifying the suspension. We took a Porter-built drop member. I knew Nate from years ago building C10s, and we took a Porter-built drop member and we sectioned it, we widened it, and it really darn near bolted right up to my stock frame. We used his narrowed upper and lower control arms, and things were progressing pretty good. And a buddy of mine came over, and because I wasn't going to do anything with the power on it, a buddy of mine came over and said, hey Mark, he goes, you're not going to put a LS3 in this thing? And I kind of sat back and said, I really hadn't planned on it, but he kind of inspired me to go a little bit further with this project, and bought the LS3, 4L80, fit in the engine compartment just perfectly, and we got through the power part, and the next thing was the interior, and I started building the interior for it. And actually I had one interior done and ready to be covered, and I decided that I didn't like it, and I literally threw 3 months worth of work into the trash and started over, and had some other ideas that would flow better, and I ended up fabricating about 80% of the interior myself. It's all leather. We use about 7 hides of leather. I got my buddies from Interworks. They've been doing custom interior for many years. They came in and did the stitch work. We added a 12-speaker sound system. And I also, for nostalgia purposes, I put a Pioneer 8-track up in the upper console, because that's the exact same 8-track that I had when I was 16. And I happen to still have my my collection of 8-tracks, and I brought out my Black Sabbath Paranoid 8-track, and that's what sits in the 8-track player. It actually works, but we have a modern sound system, and it really we really have a rockin' system. We finished that up. We brought in some 2014 Camaro buckets, and we did front and rear buckets, rear console. There really was no plan with this build. It's just, once we got to the end of one project, we just figured out what we were doing next.
Well, of course I love it. Now, to rewind, you had a 73 at 16. Did you keep that van for a long time, and then did you just constantly want another one?
No, I had the van for 2 years. I was really inspired by a cover photo in Truckin' Magazine. They had a Chevy van on the cover, and I got the van and had my little rock band, and we kind of toured with it. But when I went to college, I sold the van and started driving Corvettes, and many different vehicles followed. I really don't. I'm really just not partial to one vehicle. I don't know. I just like whatever's cool, and just seeing this van with that my buddy had just inspired me to say, "Hey, Mark, let's see what you can do with this van." So it's really my pride and joy.
Do you have a name for this one?
Well, I call it Orange Crush. My mom told me when I got this van, she says, "Well, if you're going to paint it, you have to paint it orange like your old Chevy van." And that's what I did. I never looked back, and I think that's really the focal point of this van. It's
well, that and these HRBB wheels. Of course, you picked the right wheel, and I don't really know that I notice it from social media, but now we're out here, we're at the Tennessee Super Speedway, and the sun is hitting it just right, and there's some pearl in there.
There's lots of pearl. There's lots of gold in it. Believe it or not, this is a color from Mazda. I just started looking through paint samples, and I kind of picked this one out because of the way it looked in the sun. And come to find out, Mazda did use it. I don't know what it was used on, but I just love the color.
Well, you've got the visor, you've got the stance. Did it take a lot of work getting the rear end down? You talked about using Nate's front end and the control arms, the narrowed control arms. What about the rear end? What'd you have to do back there?
Yeah, well, we tubbed the rear end. We basically cut the floor out and went all the way to the frame, which gave us a total of 15 inches. And we really oversized the tubs on it. It's got a 4-link. We've got Ride Tech shock waves all the way around for the suspension. I think we took about 6 inches off of each side of the rear end. And the wheels have a 4-inch backspace, so there's a lot of discs there, man. There's a lot of chrome.
Oh, we love the lip, right? So it's all lip with the Orange Crush van. Another unique thing you did is you routed the exhaust to the back, you pushed it out right in front of the rear wheels, but you did it in such a fashionable way, it gives it that 70s attitude.
Yeah, back in the day, Zoomies were really popular. And, I liked it when I build vehicles. I really like clean. I don't like a lot of things going on. I like them clean. And I thought, what better focal point than to have a set of Zoomies coming out the side of the van. And, with the LS3 and that big canvas in it, it really sounds awesome.
Well, it sounds awesome. It looks awesome. Another thing you did is you got a little disco ball in the back, and it has side glass, if you will. Did it have glass, or did you add it?
No. This was originally a panel van. It actually was used to transport prisoners from the county to a nearby prison. So it kind of made me feel right at home.
That's even a better story. We might have to come up with how the prisoners sometimes will wear those orange jumpsuits, you know what I mean? It might be the jumpsuit van.
Yeah, well, my wife tries to get me in a straight jacket all the time because I just go crazy with these cars, and she knows that there's a screw loose somewhere.
Well, I tell you what, you hit a home run with the Orange Crush 73. We love the van, the color match bumpers, the way that you balance it out with kind of a graphite with the mirrors, the handles, obviously the grill, the orange bow tie just pops. We love it, and I can't imagine, I assume people are just constantly coming up to you wanting to talk to you about your van.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I love talking to people about cars. And I like to network, and there's other guys out there that are starting to do these vans. They've been coming back, and I've had a good time just sharing what I've learned with this build because we did a lot of things that really I hadn't seen before, And I've loved just sharing, some of our workmanship with some of these other guys that are building vans.
Well, that's what makes our community so great, is guys like you passing it on, passing it down, and coming out to these shows. Like Gary said when I interviewed him before, it's all about inspiration. You come out to these things, you get inspired, just like you said. Your buddy had one, you were inspired by it. Is there anything left that you need to do to this van?
No, I've kind of gone through troubleshooting here, and there's a few bugs that I had to work out. My last project, this was a static suspension with coilovers on all four corners, but I decided that I just had to have the air ride, so I put a Ride Tech E5 system in here with the shock waves, and it kind of lets me lower the van down at shows, but yet, I have a nice ride. It does handle very, very nice, but that's it. I mean, I've done what I could do, and now we're just taking it out and showing it and enjoying talking to people about it.
Well, we appreciate you talking to us. We appreciate you doing it and all the hard work that went into it. Mark, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, I like to say, damn, son, this truck, Blazer, contraption should be called ahead of its time. As I approach Tony's Blazer unibody truck, it's a blast from the past, Tony. Magazines growing up as a kid in the 80s and the 90s, and you see all this. This thing is so far ahead of its time. Tell us about your Blazer.
Well, I wound up with it in 2006. The truck was initially started by John Batera over at Boyd and Coddington's shop. It was his personal truck, and they were going to build this thing to haul two Harleys in. It was going to call the Harley Hauler. Well, it evolved into this that's right here right now, all hand-built chassis, 502 cubic inch big block, set back up underneath the dash, all hand-built chassis, like I said, all late model Corvette stuff at the time, which is in the early 90s. And of course they chopped the top and made it a truck instead of a Blazer, so it's a unibody pickup. It's a blast to drive. It's way ahead of its time, absolutely ahead of its time. I look around and see what they've got and what they've done this day, and then I look back 20 to 30 years, and you look back and it's still just as competitive and just as beautiful as it's ever been.
Well, the paint and the detail is just stunning, and we were walking around before you came over, and so many things that you're like, well, why is this and why is this and why is this? So for the audience, this is the 502, and this is this big block, and it's pushed all the way back, and it's well, why the hell is it pushed back? Well, they had plans.
Yes, they did. They had absolute plans. This truck right here, like I said, the engine's pushed back 10 inches. The center line of the crankshaft on the harmonic balance is the center line of the front wheelbase. With a Corvette independent suspension in the rear, it drives like a Corvette. It's a fun driving car. But like I said, if you can walk at each and every panel and look at this thing for an hour, and then you come back and look at it again, you'll find something else that's been done. From the fender lips that have been changed, the rolled rockers have changed, the chop top, the shaved drip rails, the filled cowl. It goes on and on. It's an absolutely amazing truck. And like I said, it speaks volumes for the builders past and the builders present. John Batera, you can't say enough about him. Boyd Coddington, can't say enough. When Bob Johnson bought the truck and carried it over to Alan Johnson, and Alan redid it again, like I said, it was still in the 90s, and it's an absolutely amazing piece, and it speaks volumes for these builders out here. It's just an amazing truck.
Have you ever taken the time to kind of try to rewind on that and reach out to these builders and talk to them about, like we were talking earlier about these fenders, and it looks like what they did is they cut out other fenders, and for the audience, it's got front and rear S10 fendered lips, and they are widened just just a scotch. You see the flaring, the unibody, the chopped cab. It just keeps going. The small mirrors, the motor's pushed back. They were going to put some turbos in it, and then what about rear steer potential?
It did have rear steer potential in it. Everybody knows about John Batera. He was one of the first guys to try and compete in Indy with a home-built Indy car in his garage. Who does that? But suspension-wise, he was absolutely the man, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, you can look up underneath this truck, look at the engineering. He did this truck and one for his son Chris. He did a 67 Chevy 2 for Chris, his son, with the same setup. And they're both just monumental vehicles. I mean, absolutely outstanding workmanship.
So you bought this in 06. You've had it almost 20 years. We're kind of coming up to that. What were you thinking when you bought it? What was the thought process?
Being in the collision industry, and I've had a lot of hot rods over the years, man, I looked at the composition and the amount of workmanship that was there. I couldn't even come close to turn around and building the thing for what I bought it for. And at that point in time, it was still a pile of money. But, I mean, when you look at the truck, if you had it built right now, I mean, it's a 4-year build if you had to even start from there. But when I bought the truck, I put 690 miles on it. Bob would have drove it if it had an overdrive transmission in it, and that's the only reason he sold it. And when I bought it, I carried it to the house, put some miles on it, got involved in building a business, and it got pushed to the side. And a gentleman named Carpo called me about the Grand National Roadster Show last year, and I asked if I had the truck, and I told him I did. He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Would you bring it out to California?" And I'm going to tell you what, it was the best thing we ever did for the truck, for my friends. I mean, it was a great get-together. We had a blast. Absolutely amazing time. And they welcomed us with open arms. So like I said, at the end of the day, the automotive industry here, I mean, the hot rod industry, you want to fix the world, give everybody a hot rod. I promise you.
Well, and what's cool about that is you nailed it, is this truck, because it's so far ahead of its time, it was really built by hot rodders. You can see that when you think about growing up and watching Boyd and the different things that they did, and just the vision that they had when they built this thing. And you probably didn't even know it at the time, or you think, oh, that's kind of unique. But now when you look back 25 years, 30 years after it's built, you're like, holy shit, there's all kinds of hidden treasures in there.
In 2006, the first show I carried it to was the year one experience where Chip Foose was out there. And of course, he come running over to the truck and he said, "I remember this car when I was at Boyd's." And he and I have talked several times and discussed the car. We went to the Grand National Road Show. Mark Owen was working at Boyd's when this truck was raw metal. Golly, I turned around and talked to Bobby when I was coming in. He said, "I saw the car when it was in metal." It's Johnny Robinson. I mean, he's got the surface table this thing was built on. I mean, it's an emotional for a lot of people that know the car and know the guys that built this thing. I mean, it just shows what tight-knit community this is. I mean, it's great.
When you take it out, like when you take it out to GNRS and for the 50 years of trucking, when you bring it to shows like this, do people hit you up? Are they excited to see it? Do they want to buy it? What's the reaction?
The biggest thing is like people, it brings their initial start or their desire or what got them into hot rod. And a lot of them just remember the truck when it's, like I said, it being ahead of its time. Nobody was doing this. These guys were just absolutely just way ahead of their time, but you gotta appreciate it. And like I said, everybody says, "Well, do you own the truck?" I don't own the truck. It doesn't belong to me. I mean, all I am is the curator of it. I'm the one that gets to hold on to it for a while. I mean, these guys built this for the community is what they did. It's an absolutely amazing truck, as well as everything that's out here. There's some absolutely beautiful vehicles here.
And you're so right, because if we didn't get to see this stuff, and one thing that Gary said is this is all inspiration to see this type of stuff. I mean, for the audience, rear window that rolls down, right? And we're not talking small rear, we're talking full rear window rolls down, unibody ahead of its time, 502 pushed all the way back, the detail, the coloring, the mirrors, it screams hot rodding.
It does. I mean, you can't get any better than this. I mean, the color combination on it, absolutely outstanding. I mean, it's the perfect choice for this. There's nothing about this truck that I would change if I built it today. I mean, it's just, they did an absolutely amazing job. Like I said, it just, hats off to everybody had their hands in it. You know, Terry Hageman helped John Batera when they were doing all the flares and the rolled rockers and, you know, filling all these panels and the drip rail and all that. I mean, and then of course, like I said, Alan Johnson and his team coming back in and finishing it up again, just second to none. These guys are just outstanding builders, all of them.
Well, like you said, being in the collision industry and knowing what the hourly rate is in the 90s and what the hourly rate is today, you couldn't touch this truck with the vision, everything that goes on with it. We're glad that you are the curator. It was meant to be. We're glad that you're bringing it out to shows. You're showing it off. It looks clean. I hope you win something today. I know you don't even care because you're already the winner. You get to take the truck home. Is there a social media that we can follow you on?
Right now, I don't have any social media at all, but just look for it in the near future. How about that? Just put 68 Blazer truck. It's called the Little John 68.
All right, Little John 68. I will post it up on my social media, of course. So we'll get it out there. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Hey guys, I've got Joe Road, Classic Performance Products, CPP back. Joe, let's talk X10 spindles. Go.
Yeah, you know, CPP's one of our most popular parts through the years has been our 2.5-inch drop modular spindles. Really popular part. Well, we've kind of taken that to the next step. You know, we've emulated late model Corvette, Silverado, Chevy technology into our new X10 drop spindles. They use a steel hub, sealed bearing hub, really strong piece.
As you know, Joe, so many guys are building bigger trucks, bigger wheels, bigger brakes, everything bigger and better. Is this X10 something they should be considering?
Oh, absolutely. It's oversized bearings. Definitely great for a guy using big brakes, big wheels, which I'm sure all your guys are.
All right, guys, there you go. If you're looking to upgrade, you need a new spindle anyways, you're going to lower your truck, you're running a bigger wheel, a bigger brake. CPP's got it for you with their new X10 spindle. Joe, as always, thank you. CPP, ClassicPerform.com. It's ClassicPerform.com. Sniper 2. Are you ready to switch out that old carb for a modern EFI system? Well, Holley has a solution for you. The all-new Sniper 2. This new system was redesigned from the ground up. Available in tumbled polished or black powder coat, and there's 3 available tuning interfaces. A classic 3.5 handheld, a 5-inch mountable, which includes a GPS speedo or a Bluetooth module so you can use your smartphone. Another big bonus is the Sniper 2 has a built-in transmission control module. So if you're looking to upgrade to a 4-speed overdrive, 4L60, 4L80, you now can with ease. Holley.com to get started today, Holley.com. Hey guys, are you thinking about swapping out your old motor for a more reliable LSLT-based power plant? We've got great news for you. PSI Conversion is offering our listeners 10% off your order. Behind each PSI harness, you get over 10 years of experience in the business, online tech support, phone support, and harnesses made in the U.S. That's PSIconversion.com. And don't forget, use code C10TALK and save 10% today. Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. It all started in the original owner's garage. From humble beginnings of a couple parts in a garage to a 2-building manufacturing facility making over 6,000 parts, Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They not only design the products, but also design the tooling to build the products, guaranteeing quality control. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. Aluminum strips are double polished, creating a mirror finish, and crystal clear anodized. They use the highest quality, hand-selected show quality wood that will hold up over time. Why? Because it's kiln dried to precision moisture levels specifically for Marquet. They stock oak, pine, and mini exotics, guaranteeing extremely fast delivery. All parts are manufactured in-house in Oklahoma City, USA. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bed wood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com. Hey, bear with us. We got Tim Strange on the mic and some speakers by us, but I've got Greg Harris here, Papa Bear C10, and he has a stunning 1970 shortbed that is so low miles. You know, I love the story of how you found it. It's sitting under the carport. Tell us about your truck, Greg.
I found this 1970 model truck, like we said, under a carport. It had a white camper top on it, rubber mat in the bed. Old man bought it brand new at the local Chevrolet dealership where I live, and I didn't even know it existed until I went down the road, and all I could do was see it. Went to his door, knocked on the door, and it took me a little while to buy it, but he ended up selling it to me, and I've had it for a long time. We took it apart, started painting on it, and the truck just got so nice. And I found all NOS chrome to put on it. That's the original seats, never been covered. It's a 49,000-mile truck. But to find a Hugger Orange, big block, bucket seat, power windows, power steering, power brakes, you know, positive traction, that's hard to come by. A loaded up truck.
Well, and especially with such low miles, right? A big block truck, He's went through the whole thing. It's just all there. And you, like you said, you didn't have to do anything to the block because everything was so tight.
We pulled the block out, of course, checked the timing chain, dropped the pan, checked the oil pump. I put valve seal guides in it, put it back together because at 49,000 miles, you didn't need to. It was still like a new truck. It hadn't been used much.
Another thing that I really like is you left the stock height, right? And you just don't see that anymore. It looks like a four-wheel drive.
Oh, no, it's stock all the way through. It's even got overload springs in the back, the factory overloads.
Because he knew he was going to put a camper on it?
I don't know if he thought he was going to pull a camper, but the overload springs are back there, which, to me, that's just, if you did pull a trailer back in the day, you had to have them because it was all a bumper pull. They didn't have Reese hitches back in 1970. So, yeah, everything is stock as a clock from the dog dish hubcaps to the dual exhaust that comes out. I mean, it's just the way it should be off the assembly line.
Well, and people it gives us such a throwback to the era. Another thing, you talk about the hubcaps, you're a Steely guy. You've got the Steelies, but then you color matched them.
I did. They would have originally come white, and I just wanted to add a little more color to the truck, so we just painted them the Hugger orange, and that just makes the truck pop and just adds a little more to it.
One of the things he said to me that was really good was, he said, this tells you how long I've had this truck. I've got $2,500 in this paint job. So you could think you've had this thing a long time.
I've had this truck for more than 25 years. And, like I said, we took it apart, and I was just slow about putting it back all together. And the gentleman who painted for me was an older gentleman I knew back in my hometown, and he did excellent work. But it took 10 years for him to paint the cab and the bed because we just did it when we did it. I was in no hurry. I was working, trying to make a living, and that wasn't my priority. But now I'm retired, and I want to show my truck to people.
Is there anything that when you see the truck and it's so original and you've went through it over the long time that you've had it, is there stuff that still kind of itches at you, or are you very content and done? You don't want to change anything?
No, I'm not going to change anything because it costs you more to go back and change. But no, it's as perfect as I could get, and I think that's the way it should be.
I love it. I love the color, everything about it. He's got factory tack, factory buckets, so loaded. That old boy, he ordered this thing right.
But you got to remember, back in those days, you got a salesman sitting at a desk. They didn't have computers. They had a piece of paper, and they just went through checking with their pencil. And then they had to mail that to Detroit. So they who knows why he ordered it or who ordered it this way, but it was done. And, you could get trucks back then with no chrome, top chrome. They had them all combinations. You could get one with air and bucket seats and be a 307. You never knew what they were going to order. You can't do that today. Today, General Motors sends you a truck, and that's all you get. You can pick your color, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not the same, especially from the options perspective. Speaking of options, it's got the 402, and Greg knows a little bit something about the 402 that I just never knew. I always thought, hey, it's a 396 board over, it's the truck motor, whatever, and no, that's not actually why you have a 402 and why they made 402s.
Back in the day, when I was just a little baby, my dad worked for General Motors on the assembly line. Well, in Detroit, there was a plant that had the motors in it. A water main busted. That water main flooded the plant. This was during the Vietnam War, when a lot of metal was hard to come by. So General Motors, from what my dad expressed to me, instead of them junking all these blocks, they stroked them 30 over and started keeping them in production because that was faster than having to go back and retake that metal and grind it all back up and recast all those blocks, and you could just keep on moving with them and keep cars in production, whether it be Monte Carlos, Camaros, anything with a 402, which would have been a 396 back then. And of course, some people say it was about the EPA and the horsepower. I don't think that was true, because they could have still made that 402 just however big they wanted to make it.
Well, and would they have come out with the 454 if that was truly the case, if you think about the EPA and the horsepower and the fuel mileage. Nonetheless, I like the water break, water main story, because we just don't hear that stuff anymore, and we don't see them like this anymore. You either see them cut up or lowered, and you've kept this one pretty much all original. Love the truck. Do you have a name for it?
No, it's just my truck,
70 orange. What was the old boy's name that bought it? Did you get all the paperwork with it?
I have it at home, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I have the bill sheet, the window sticker. I have all the paperwork at home. The Protecto plate, he had it all.
Now, do you have kids? Do they like riding with Papa Harris?
Well, I have some children at home, and we have some other vehicles, and they're into them some, but not like I am. It's a passion of mine. It's like a gentleman likes to go hunting or fishing. They'll go buy a big bass boat and rods and reels and lures. I like to buy car parts. My passion is going over to the swap meet, seeing what I can find. It's the thrill of seeing if I can find something that will fit something I need down the road. So, no, they probably won't follow my suit, but you never know.
Yeah, you just never know. And he doesn't have just this. He's got a few more. So he showed us some pictures of some Blazers. He likes some OG. He likes that painted hubcap wheel style, I guess I should say. We're glad that this guy's getting louder and louder. We're glad that you brought this out. We love your truck, and I'm going to walk around, take some pictures of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You have a good evening.
Greg Harris, check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Papa
Bear C10.
Papa Bear C10. I'll check you out. Thank you so much, Greg.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Hey, remember that just because you came out as a 78 Chevy, you might be a 78 GMC, maybe a 73, 74 grill, maybe a 79 hood. That's what's so great about these trucks. They have interchangeable parts. I've got Cody with the Minty 78. Cody, right out of the gate, your Jimmy reminds me of Phoebe from Hills Hot Rods. Thanks for taking time to tell us about your Jimmy and be on C10 Talk. Let's go. Let's party.
Ronnie, first off, it's a huge honor to be interviewed by you. I've been following the pod. Big subscriber. I love it. Yeah, I was obsessed with Phoebe. I have a picture of my daughter, who was 5 at the time, in front of it, and I thought, man, someday I'm going to have a truck just like this. So maybe should have bought that one at the end of the day of this, but now I have my own and its own little flair. And it does identify as a GMC, which is funny, but it's a Chevy Blazer from 78, a Cheyenne.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is it doesn't matter, right? Especially when you break it down the way you did. And when you work with Hills, you get to make those decisions. Now, that's one thing that obviously Jason and his crew with Phoebe, they did an amazing job on that. But I'm sure there's some upgrades along the way that you were able to make, and, little things that now at this point really allow you to know that this is yours and you designed, built, and got behind this and ultimately paid for it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, listen, Jason Hill is, you can tell him to build you a truck and he'll pick out great finishes, or if you have a way to go and you want the color and pick out the wheels and you have a style, that's what I loved about that experience is he's building my truck and he was collaborating with me all along the way. And so that was super special. And I think every single one they do keeps getting a little bit better and better and better. And the marketplace is seeing a ton of them in magazines and at shows, but just they're putting out a really good product. And I'm super proud to be here. The response of this has been really, really fun to see. I think the younger generation gets it a little more with the all gray wheel with the lips gray, and it's got this really bright color. Some of the older guys are kind of like, it's a little bright color for me, but that's cool. It's fun to see all the people's reaction to it for sure.
Well, and for the audience, we're obviously at the Triple Crown of Rotting, and there is a lot of variety and a lot of age difference here. There's a lot, but I will tell you that with your color and your style, this is one of those things where it will catch on. Not that you care, but those older guys aren't used to this, and as they keep coming to these shows, especially what I would call like an intermix show where we have so many different style of cars, trucks, there's literally like Riddler style stuff here to, some patina, right? So at the end of the day, you knew that you loved Phoebe, and now you have your own Minty madness here. You obviously love the GMC 73, 74 grill. Who doesn't? And then you got to do all those little upgrades, all those little things. What would you say was the hardest part of being behind this build and coming up with those decisions?
Yeah, I would say patience. I mean, it took a lot of patience to get to where we are today. But I will say on the flip of the coin, if this thing was built in 3 months, I wouldn't have been able to afford all the things that you see here. It took some time for me to make money along the way as we went. So, I mean, it's Lord's hand was at work in some ways with getting this to this point and letting me do the things I wanted to do. But with a truck like this, I had to be mindful. And you say this on your podcast all the time. You have to have perspective. If you're going to go with a badass paint job, then that interior better be up to par, and you have to invest in that for it to look a certain way. And then we got to the final stage and realized that the engine bay was all black with wires everywhere, and that just wasn't going to cut it on a truck like this. So I'd actually asked Jason, I said, hey man, you picked everything inside the hood. I know you're going to make it look great. He paints everything with a matte finish inside and does his own in-house valve covers, and it does. It looks great, and so it's worth the investment to do that. I will say the hardest thing of the build, actually, which is kind of fun, and my favorite part, is the emblem on the passenger side says Minty Custom. And billet badges worked with me, and they designed that original font that's hard to get, and the original yellow that I know they did yours. But it took me 16 weeks to get GM's approval of licensing to do their GMC, where you have the stripes for slice. I was able to get the GMC cut and the license approval. And a funny story about that, I kept following up with GM so much, I finally got an email back saying, hey, could you please stop calling us? We see it. It's in process. And then about a week later, I got an email saying, hey, you got a really cool project going. You use it as you will. So I got to put it on a T-shirt and put it on the emblem, which is cool.
Yeah, and do it in the perspective that not only were you within the right way of doing it, but you also know that this is like your baby, right? Yeah. So it is cool because your logos, I have a set of those logos. I think that might be for the audience, the Blazer, right? You have your side fender emblem, and it just says Jimmy, right? And it's such a unique emblem, and it's so cool, and it pops. And of course, I love the 7374 GMC grill, and I'm glad you could find a good one because they're not the easiest thing to find.
Well, let me tell you something about those emblems. So those are cut out of billet. They're not original. They were for Phoebe, which is really special to the thing you said at the first of this interview about this, an inspiration of Phoebe. I actually didn't, and originally when I drew it and I showed Jason what I wanted, because Phoebe didn't have it, in my mind it was going to be emblemless. And then Jason was like, nope, because after he painted it, I saw the hood holes, or the holes on the side, and I said, hey man, what? You forgot to fill those 2 holes. What's up? And he's like, no, we're doing the Jimmy emblems, and I have them, and you're going to buy them from me. And I recently found out that they're cut from billet. I thought that they were original spec, but they're actually done as one-off piece, and they're painted, all that cool fire orange that he has the unique code for. It turned out really rad.
Well, it does, and it is because it is that orange, but it also is kind of a matty style where you don't see that billet, so they look kind of OG. So it works out. Again, your motor, your valve covers, it all comes together. Your stance, your wheels, but it's not easy, right? It's not easy always cutting the check. It's not always easy coming up with the different decisions, the wheels, the stance. You went with, everything is, your glass is all flush mounted. There's a lot of really, really unique things going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what I did when I got it. I said, hey, I'm not going to be scared to drive and play with this thing. I want to take my kids to school in it. I want to drive it. I just got done with almost 1,500 miles coming from Dallas to San Antonio to here. Had a little issues along the way, but we're breaking it in, and I'm proud mostly of being able to drive it. And I'm deadheading it back to Dallas 11 hours on Sunday. But I would encourage everybody to carve a little bit of budget out for like an Expel paint protective film or something, because I did the whole hood and then some of the front fenders and the nose, and I got behind an 18-wheeler yesterday on some loose gravel, and I was getting pelted, just slamming on the brakes, pulling over to not get the windshield broke, but my hood looked perfect. So, it's little stuff like that I think guys that go to this level and paint and do all those things, if we go that little extra step, we can actually enjoy it and not lose sleep at night about it.
Yeah, and I like how Cody says carve out that budget. Unfortunately, the budget is going to be so overdrawn that where you're going to carve it out of, I don't know, but he's right. I interviewed somebody today on the OBS pod. Whether or not they'll listen or not, I hope they don't. But he had a really unique, original style truck that's very, very vintage, 30 plus years old, and his front has been just demolished because of that. So we want you to get out there and drive them. We want you to enjoy them. And, for you, we know, I could tell right away, and we don't have to get into it. This is a over 6-figure vehicle, but you want to build it and drive it, right? And a lot of times you're like, hey, Mama, I want to build the Blazer, the Jimmy, I want to take the kids, I want to have fun. And then if you don't have fun and enjoy it, then you're like, well, it's just sitting in the garage. So you have to find that balance.
That's right, yeah. And my wife was super supportive along the way. She was irritated. It was like, hey, where's all this investment? Where's the payoff? But now that we've seen it and we actually got to experience it, Jason did a really cool job at C10 Nationals rolling it out to us. And then there was a surprise photo shoot, and it's coming out in CK Magazine next month, so it'll be on the cover next month's issue. So it all just sort of happened, and the launch of this thing was well worth the wait. And seeing all my little girl's excitement and her excitement, it's just kind of all made it worth it.
Well, and I don't want to skip over the interior. I feel like not only with your input and Hill's, you took the just rad minty color, two-tone with the white and the white top, and then you gave it that I like to kind of say it's a bourbon or a rich cigar. You have that interior, the smell, the look, the pattern. It is that kind of that bourbon brown, and it's got to be comfort food sitting in that thing.
Man, I'm a big peanut butter guy, so just wanted it to match peanut butter. Right?
I love peanut butter. Are you Jif or Skippy? We should talk about that.
Yeah, either way, I just will eat all peanut butter all day. It's been a week. I've been traveling. I haven't had much of it. I'm a little angry. No, but the interior is, everything's wrapped in this. And a lot of guys are like, what's the leather? It's not leather. It's a really high-end vinyl so that the dash can be wrapped and the pillars and every little piece is intentionally done in the same color. The console that you like so much is wrapped. And I would say just a shout out to Chris Pate at Mobile Toys. I know Twisted and Terry you were interviewing. I mean, my seats were getting done when Terry's Twisted full interior was getting done, and I got a sneak peek at that. But he was so cool to take my hand drawings of inspirations of other people's seats and saying, hey, can you make this happen? And he worked with me and did a badass job on those seats. Yeah.
They really did. I love the low backs, everything about it. And ultimately that you're here, you're enjoying it. What would you say is your favorite part, and what would you say is for the audience something that just was a struggle that you can help somebody through?
Sure. My favorite part is for sure the wheels and the color, wheels and stance. I mean, that's everything in a build, I think.
Was that an easy decision for you? Did you already see the forge lines and know what you wanted?
I saw the forge lines at a Good Guys show maybe a decade ago in these CB3Cs, and I knew right then, someday, if I ever can afford to do something, I'm doing that wheel. So going into this project, my budget was much smaller to start, but it was budgeted for these forge lines. I knew if it was going to be a rusty pit hold, patina truck, it was going to have these forge line wheels because that was important to me, and it was going to have a big tire as big as we could get on the back, be as low as possible. It doesn't have to lay on the ground, but I wanted a hot rod stance. So wheels and tires and the paint color, it's a 91 to 94 Porsche mint green. Those things are my favorite. I would just say that there's a unique thing that goes on with the Hills builds, and a lot of it is the combination of the relationship with Jimmy Davis and JD Glassworks on the interior side, and Jason and their relationship over the years. They all talk about things that they may not talk in front of you, but it all just comes to fruition, like how I'm 6'2", how I fit in the truck, how the seat is positioned, how certain things are painted in the truck, and how that handoff goes from interior to builder. That's really special. I think is overlooked a lot of times. So I would say if you're building something, think through it comprehensively. You might look on paper and say, man, I could buy this RS chassis and I could do this with this shop, and this painter over here is this price. But you putting it all together, I think in the end, having someone that connects all the pieces together, in the end, you'll probably be less expensive, and you'll probably have a lot more comprehensively built truck that looks the part and doesn't look like a Frankenstein. If I could change one thing looking back at where we're at today, yeah, I mean, you hear Jeremy talk about it on their podcast all the time, and I just think a chassis probably would be in the future for this truck. I'm trying to figure out right now how that would look so I don't lose the rear seat. But it drives great. Part of it's being content, but it's also how do we take this to even the next level? And if I keep it long term, that's probably what we'd look like, and then let somebody else have this chassis and enjoy it, because it's a great setup. But having that something take it to the next level, I think a chassis would probably be where it's at.
Great point. Great thing that you said there. And the question is, if I keep it long term, if somebody comes up to you and says, I want this just like you wanted Phoebe, would you sell it?
Well, I've become friends with Terry. He's out here somewhere. I got to catch up with him, but he had good advice. He's like, have it not for sale price, and I have that. And I'd hate for someone to offer it to me, candidly. I just got it, so I'd hope to have it for a little while longer. But just like you, man, you go through the experiences, and every build's better. So whatever I build next is going to be better than this truck. And if that doesn't ever happen again, and this is the only truck I ever have, great. I'm happy with it. I'll keep wrenching on it and keep doing a few things to make it even better. But if somebody came along and said, I don't want to wait 3 years, and I love your truck, and I'm willing to invest in it for that time and the stuff you put in it, I'd consider that and then turn it right back into something that I, would probably look a lot like this, just a little bit farther down the line.
Well, and we learn along the way, just like you said with Jason and JD Glassworks and all the experience that they have. It's impossible for them not to go through and take all those experiences and give you the best product possible that they've learned along the way, just like you've learned along the way. So if you did sell it, I always tell guys, go through cars and trucks, don't go through wives. It's a lot cheaper. You can sell them, you can get another one, you can build it, but keep mama happy, because 50% is still more than just selling your vehicle or however it works out, right? Each guy has his own individual situation, but get support. It's not just an individual thing. It sounds like you've got your family behind it. I'm sure your wife and your kids are happy. We're glad you're out here. Hope you win some hardware, and we hope for an awesome, safe trip home. Thanks for taking time, Cody.
Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
YKTR, you know that's right. I got Rodney Harris here, and this is a debut truck. We are at the Triple Crown of Rodding. Rodney, let me look at here. I didn't get a year. I'm going to go 79. 79. Now, we got a problem. We'll talk about that later. You don't have a 79 hood on it.
That's correct. I didn't want a 79.
Okay. So he's got a 79 Crew Cab. And there's something real unique about this Crew Cab is that the wheelbase just isn't quite as long as a normal Crew Cab. Rodney, I love your truck. I love the blend. I love the balance, and I love the style. Tell us about the process and the history.
Well, it's just been a lifelong ambition to build a short bed Crew Cab truck. GM never did this, and it was our deal to build a truck. It looked like something GM would have made. So we took a dually and converted it and put a short bed box on it.
So, as a guy who previously had a C20, is it an original Crew Cab frame still, and you shortened it? Because for the audience, a Crew Cab, 1 ton, 3/4 ton, a 1 ton, they're going to be a lot bigger underneath. If I remember right, it's about 11 inches at some points. It's very thick. So you took that stock chassis, you had to take a lot of extra leaves out and do some cutting.
So we took the chassis, shortened the chassis, took the front end out, changed all the front end, changed it, used all half-ton running gear under the back, changed all the mounts and everything. The chassis is still the original depth. And you're correct, the chassis is way deeper than a regular C10 truck, which created us a few issues with the build, but we're over it now. This build didn't start to be this quality of build when we started, and as things progressed, this is where it turned out.
Well, we all get to benefit from the progression of, like what you said, is a lifelong dream. You obviously started with a 79, or have you had crews along the way? And how long ago did you actually pull the trigger on this 79?
I've had this truck about 5 years. We started the project 5 years ago, and then I started the project myself, and then I took it to Mike Rudder, and Mike finished the truck up. Mike's had it a little over 2 years finishing the truck up. I've had multiple square body trucks. This is from my era when I was a kid, these square body trucks. I learned to drive these trucks, C20s and C30s. We were farmers and we farmed, so I learned to drive these trucks in the field, so that's kind of why I have a special attraction to these trucks.
Yeah, like I like to tell everybody, as a kid sitting in a square body, I looked at that dash my whole life, and who would have thought that marketing would have, steamrolled into having an obsession with Chevy trucks the way that we do. So it is cool. You had the foresight to know, hey, why the hell didn't they have a short bed truck? And then you see it. You guys did a great job. I love the balance, the color. And you said this was original. Was this the original truck of the truck, original color of the truck as well?
Yes, it's the original colors on the truck. They were flipped. It was blue in the center and silver on top and bottom, but it is the correct paint codes for this truck.
Almost like a Bo James kind of, if I kind of, we always kind of give the guys out of Texas the Dallas Cowboy style truck. Now you went with also something unique where you went with, for the audience, you think about a hood stripe, you get a triple hood stripe out of like a 78, 79. You guys did a little, your own rendition with the colors on the hood. And that, again, just like your Diamondback stripe on your wheels, really pops.
So Eric Brockmeyer, when we did the original renderings for this truck, we wanted it to look more like the original hood stripes. Well, as we got to putting the original hood stripes on there, it just didn't work. There's 26 renderings of these hood stripes before we came up with the final rendering that's on the truck.
Well, nobody's going to accuse you of not really doing your research then. 26 different figurations and styles, and you obviously made the right decision. You've got some cool interior plaid. It all kind of rolls together. You've got a lot of pop. What would you say was your biggest struggle along the journey?
Trying to finish it in the last week to get to come to the Triple Crown.
Last minute all the time, right?
Last minute, interior guy was down to the wire. My hot rod builder was down to the wire. We were down to the wire getting it here. The last week's been the most stressful part of the whole build.
And it's been a few years. Isn't that ironic, right? These shows pop up. Whoever painted it did a really good job. I love the blue. I love the balance. You guys went with the Diamondback yellow, like a red line, but a yellow line. Yeah, so billet specialties. How big are you in the back? 20?
22s.
Okay, 22 by
10s.
10 and a half right there. 10. Okay, awesome. You really just brought it all together. The shaved firewall, everything about it really does look good. How in the last week? How has the drive been?
Great. I mean, we've burned a lot of midnight oil. We've spent about 3 solid days up that we didn't sleep getting ready to bring the truck here. So hope it pays off for us.
You know, we always kind of say there's that 5%, right? Would you say that you still have 5%? Would you say that you still got a few things you want to do? Or is it one of those things where, hey, I'm going to shake it down, I'm going to put 500 miles on it, and then I'm going to figure out what I got to do?
There's a few things we want to shake down to make sure to get it working. I'd say we're 95% or better. You know, new build, there's always little shakedown items that's got to be corrected when you get it out and drive it a little bit. We've drove it in and out of a trailer and drove it in and out of here today and yesterday. So there's a few little things that we want to shake down and correct.
Well, I'll tell you, Rodney, I was out so for the audience, we're in what's considered the judging area. So they had a certain amount of vehicles, a good amount, put back so they could be judged. And I was out in Gen Pop and some of the vendor areas, and somebody was like, oh, did you see the blue crew cab? Did you see the blue square body? So there's a little bit of hype out there. You got to feel good about your first debut show. What a great place to bring it to, where you got hot rodders and truck guys alike. And I feel like, and I'm hoping that you've gotten a really good response so far.
We've had a really good response. We were kind of a little concerned about it and what it was going to do, but it's had great response. Everybody's just been so appreciative of it, and I think it's just enough different that everybody appreciates it.
Do you have a name for this truck?
We're just calling it the Crew Chief.
All right, yeah, I did see you did have a really cool badge. Who made your badges?
Jesse Greening.
Okay, Jesse Greening Auto. So for the audience, instead of camper crew, it says Crew Chief 3x3. You've got all your badging. It looks really good. Not only do they have what would be considered a C-post badge, they also have a dash bezel badge as well. So all comes together. 79, you've got the big dash that wraps around the steering wheel, the seats, and this is going to be one fun crew hauler where you get to put, I've done it in mine. You could put 6 people in here and have a good time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what we plan on. We're going to show it for a little bit, and then we're going to drive it. That was the whole intent when we built this truck, was we're going to show it for a little bit, and then we're going to use it.
All right, Rodney. So social media-wise, where do we check you out?
I don't.
No social media.
No social media.
No Facebook.
No Facebook.
No Instagram.
No Instagram.
Okay, for you guys out there, I'm going to have to do some posting and some pictures and some filming, and I'll get you a little taste of Rodney's Crew Chief, and we'll do the best we can to get it out there because people need to see this thing. We might have to tell you to get your own Instagram so you can start pushing this thing out there. People want to check out this thing. I love the color again. Great job. Thanks for taking time to talk with us today. I hope you bring home some hardware. I think you probably will. And ultimately, what a great debut.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
So you bought a C10 and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Damn, son, the choice is obvious. VintageAir.com.
Need C10 parts? Well, here at Pro, we actually have trucks. We build them, we drive them, and we deal with them every day. It's just part of who we are. We carry the best products for your truck project from the major name brands such as QA1, React, Painless, Dakota, Beltec, Borgeson, Bear, and even more. Give us a call or check us out on the web.
You've heard me talk about my gauges. Dakota Digital. I love them. Dakota Digital has the best gauges for our trucks. These kits are complete with sensors for any engine. They look just like the stock clusters, but have all the technology you'd expect from Dakota Digital. You can change the lighting colors, customize the reading in the message centers, and do it all from the mobile app. That's right, the HDX and RTX series have Bluetooth technology. It's like a modern truck, but even better in a classic. Dakota Digital is absolutely the best in aftermarket gauges, so check them out at dakotadigital.com. dakotadigital.com.
What's up? It is Saturday, Triple Crown of Rotting. I just saw a Finnegan shirt that said the perfect truck doesn't exist. I think they might be wrong because we're hanging out. I got Zach, I got Rod, and I got the ZR10, and it is a full carbon fiber race truck. Rod's over here, he's listening in, but we got the chance to meet Rod with the ZR1, and it was one of the baddest C10s built in, the late 1819. Worked that thing, and I knew it. He even said, I'm going to build another one. So he builds another one. He teams up with the guys at Fiber Forge. Zach, tell us about this thing.
When Rod had the ZL1 truck, we actually met during that time frame, and same thing, just like you said, he was, already looking for what he was going to do next. And actually, what had happened is me and him got together, and with Rod, we combined and actually made the company Fiber Forge together. I already had an existing hot rod shop, Z Rods, which is one of the reasons why we actually connected. But so we got together. Rod was like, "Hey, let's take the next step and let's build the next ultimate truck." And then so we threw out the idea of, "Hey, let's build an all carbon fiber C10." Which was one sense was what Rod wanted. The second one was to help promote the carbon business and get in the racing, which we both have a passion for.
Well, it's kind of crazy because we got like Muncie Speed. We had interviewed him a few years back, and you see a hood, you see a fender, you see an inner door panel, and then of course, in true Rod fashion, why not just fucking build a whole truck out of carbon fiber?
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And that's basically exactly how it went. So
yeah, I mean, it's so absurd that you have to love it. Like, what would you say, just to give the audience a perspective, what does a carbon fiber C10 weigh versus a regular stock C10? How much weight are you shaving?
Well, what I can say, I can tell you what we have scaled. So it's before we actually put the cage in it and all the safety features for the driver. Every body component that we've made from bumper to bumper, and we cover everything from 67 through 72. But every body component weighed before it went to the chassis was under 600 pounds. So our final weight, once we've got the cage in, fuel, because we got a 30-gallon tank in back, we just tipped the scales under 3,100 pounds in the 3,000 range. But it's still, that's race ready. That's cage, fire bottles, that's fuel. So I've heard numbers where some of the guys are racing, they're anywhere from 38, and I've heard some guys over 4,000 pounds. So I'm figuring anywhere from 800 to 1,000 pounds is what we probably shaved.
Yeah, and then when you get a driver in there and everything, it is amazing. And the thing about it is it's a work of art. So I feel like you have like 3 to 4 things working. You've got C10 aftermarket, somebody might want a few parts. You've got race aftermarket, and then you've combined it with the complete carbon fiber industry, and you're making so many different components, and you're putting it all into one piece of art, and it's a piece of rolling art, and guess what? It's gonna actually race.
Yeah, absolutely. We've already had it out. Kyle's Tucker, he's our driver. Obviously, most everybody knows him.
For the audience, Detroit Speed, they've sold, but he's got the right man behind the wheel.
Correct, absolutely. So his home, quote-unquote home tracks, Kershaw, North Carolina, that's CMP. So we've already been out testing. I would say right now we've got about 20 laps in and one slide off the track at about 117 miles an hour under our belts as well. So basically what we're doing after that, Rod and I talked, and it's, with the ingenuity that we put in, how we CAD designed every part and component and how it's placed in the truck, we really want to go out so people understand what we built and try and get the accolades of the quality and the craftsmanship that the guys back at the shop put into this thing, because as we all know, there's blood, sweat, and tears that goes into every one of these things. So after we get done with that, the plan is we're going to head out west. We're going down south first to Texas for Good Guys to try and pick up Truck of the Year. Then we're going to head out to SEMA, and if all goes well, we're really hoping after SEMA to be able to jump in with the Optimum guys and be out there that following weekend running Optima. Then I believe Rod is going to Dino's Get Down after that. We're going to bring it out there, and then she gets his race shoes on after that full time. So she gets a wrap, and we get it prepared just to go racing.
Well, and I think even January, I'm gonna throw it out that you'll probably be in Scottsdale at Barrett Jackson, but we'll kind of see how that goes. So tell us about the chassis and really the heartbeat of this truck.
What we ended up doing with the chassis is we sat down internally with our own design guys and engineers, and we kind of designed the platform for the truck. And then from there, and through conversations with Kyle, knowing that, hey, he's going to get in it and drive it, obviously we had to run DSE components. So we teamed up with the engineers there at DSE and put together just a kick-ass chassis for this thing that is obviously all coil over. We got the ride height we want. And then sitting in the chassis, we've got nested a custom-built Mike Moran engine, which is based off of it's 434 cubic inch. That's the Dart LSX Next block, running the Mass 305 heads. We got Holley atomic intake manifold, and then behind controlling all that is all Motec. So we're running a full Motec ECU, and then we got a full sequential Sedov transmission. Brembo brakes all the way around. And it is a solid axle that is rear differential, and that is Gear FX.
I think one of the things that I notice, and I'm not a huge, I slept at a Holiday Inn Express, but when I watch the autocross stuff, the cars and the trucks, a lot of times it gets into the balance, right? 59%, 41%, where you put the motor. Did you guys have to work through that, or were you pretty comfortable where you ended up sitting the motor, and how did that kind of play out?
We had actually played around with motor placement when we were doing all the CAD and engineering in it, and we kind of figured out our spot on where how far we're gonna push it back, and then we also lowered the drivetrain in the whole platform as well to try and really work on that center balance and keep everything low slung as we could. So we actually pushed the engine back. It's just under 7 inches set back, and that really helped proportion it. There's obviously, getting out there now and running the truck, we all know there's some areas we'd like to move some weight around, and that's what we're going to go through this winter to really try and get it set up for next year.
Well, it's just unbelievable. I know I posted it on social media a few times, and for the audience, we're not just talking core support or a fender here. We're talking the whole truck. This thing is carbon fiber. It is gorgeous. It is covered. It is beautiful, and the stance that you guys have, the wheels, the brakes, really the whole package, and even jumping on into the inside, the way you did the center console, it is race ready. It looks just like the driver is just wrapped up, ready to rock, and it looks like a lot of ingenuity has went into it. Obviously it has, and it seems like for you, it's so cool that you got to team up with Rod. I got to think that you're just tickled, because it's like a little kid saying, yeah, I get to build a race car. I get to build a race truck, and you get to literally do it.
You know what, one of the most special things about all this is just like you said, and that's what makes up this whole industry. If it wasn't for the people, none of us would have or do anything. And for us to meet up the way we did, Rod and I become literally one of my best friends. For us to successfully build a truck to this level, for us to successfully build a business together that's steaming ahead, that says a lot, for us, for him, for the industry and the direction we're going with things, and then his trust in us and the guys who put the time into this truck, that we went through everything, and we didn't want to take anything away from the truck. We didn't want to pull and make it unidentifiable from a 67 C10, but we did the things that, hey, we all want to do. We flush fit the glass, we shaved the drip rails, we went inside and we moved the dash angle out 7 degrees so that way, when the driver's in the truck, he's got a better view angle of the screen. So we really tried to put everything in this to make it kind of the ultimate street truck.
Well, and even thinking back to Rod's other truck, it's funny when you look at that styling, right? When you have a truck that's been in our face for over 50 years and you think about a 67, 68, even if you go up to like a 72, we just love that style. It's just become part of it. So why take away from what GM already gave you? You guys kept the lines, you kept the flow, you gave it the meanest stance possible, from spoilers to these mohawk looking things on top of the roof. I mean, I don't know all the racing, but I know it looks wicked and I can't wait to see it run. I think you guys are going to have a great winter. You're going to be tearing it up, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Awesome. I appreciate the time, man. Appreciate you stopping by to take a look at it. It means a lot.
Well, I think you guys are going to have a great winter. And Rod doesn't really love talking, but I'm going to put him on the mic just a little bit. Now, Rod, I know it's the ZR10, but I think we've got a little bit of a nickname. We're going to call it the estate sale, because he told me he was not going to sell this truck unless it was at the estate sale, and I beg to differ, but I think we're going to bet some pizza and at least a 6-pack on it. But I know you're excited about this truck.
Oh, very excited. This truck's sticking around. It's not going nowhere, I promise you.
What do you think about when you're here at this show? Obviously, the Triple Crown of Rodding, you came out, and I just getting to know you over the few years, I know you have expectations. Hope and expectations are two different things, but then inspiration as well. So there has not been a single moment that I've been around this truck this weekend that there isn't at least 5 people staring at it, probably wondering if it's really carbon fiber, and just looking at how mean it is.
Yeah, it's a magnet to the C10 guys. Even the truck people, the Ford, Chrysler, whatever. This truck stands out. They like it. They see stuff, and it's just it's one of a kind. It's the first all carbon fiber truck, and it's badass.
It is badass. It's going to be out there, you guys. We'll make sure that we continue to push and promote and help post this stuff. I'm glad that you're a GM guy. I'm glad that you're a Chevy guy, because this could be a Ford. We know it couldn't be a Dodge. We know it wouldn't be a Dodge. Sorry, Mopar guys, it just wouldn't. It just doesn't work in your favor. But I'm glad that the world has connected you two. We've got Zach to my right. We've got Rod to my left. We've got the ZR10 truck.
That's what the ZR10 is. It's
yeah,
rod, and it's a 10.
It's perfect. It's perfect. And that's probably what Z-Rods is as well.
No, Z-Rods was, believe it or not, that's what's a coincidence is Z-Rods is 13 years old now. I came out of the drag racing industry and then started my business. Didn't meet Rod until 8 years afterwards. So it just happens to be that, hey, the guy I form another company with becomes my best friend is also the other side of my first shop name, Z-Rod. So,
and was the Z for Zach?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it's just all meant to be.
Now the rod.
Yeah, now the rod's just a benefit. So they got the ZR10, they got the Z-Rods, they got fiber forged, they got it all, and they got one rad ass truck here. We can't wait to see it hit the pavement, hit the circuit. Good luck this fall, and can't wait to see what happens at Optima.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. I'm really looking forward to this year.
Peace out from Triple Crown. I got the one and only Rob Fortier. In the Garage Media, you've got classic truck performance, modern rodding, and all Chevy performance.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I got that right.
You did.
Okay, so you guys are out here, Triple Crown, you're representing. I mean, what a great show when you think about hot rodding, muscle cars, and trucks. Mm-hmm. You guys also have really the 3 corresponding mags for In the Garage Media.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're here this weekend. And you're also going to be out at the first Grand National Truck Show next weekend. Yeah. I believe the Truck of the Year probably going to get on the cover, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, we're out in Tennessee, Nashville Super Speedway. What a great show. What's your perspective for a guy who's, behind the lens doing what you do, and you go to a lot of shows?
To be honest, it takes me back about 25 years to like the Good Guys shows, the first big Good Guys show. It's amazing. The quality of the cars is top notch. The people, I've seen people here that I haven't seen in 30 years. You know what I mean? Builders, vendors. It's like a high school reunion, and it's not ending. I'm still in awe. It's amazing.
It is cool because you see, like we've seen, Ken Diggett, Foose. We've seen all the big guys out here, but really the quality of the builds as well. Yeah. And you get the triple whammy, right? Exactly. You're seeing the old school rods, you're seeing some amazing trucks, amazing cars. You're really getting the variety.
You are, and it's where they say that quality, not the quantity. There's a lot of cars and trucks here, but the quality is top notch. It's pretty amazing. Like I said, I'm still in awe.
Now, from your perspective, for the mags, when you come out to a show like this, are you just constantly, kind of like me, are you just running and gunning trying to get content? Are you lining up shoots, and is it where you're like, hey, I got to stay a couple days because I got to line up some shoots?
Well, I've got guys like John Jackson, who's actually flagging all the features for me, and Tommy Lee Bird, so I don't have to worry about that. So I got some of that taken off my shoulder, but I got to find the features. And at this event, I walk down the row, and instead of seeing 2 or 3 or 4 that are cover quality, there's like 24. And it's like, holy crap, I've got a lot to deal with. So I'm talking to the builders, the owners, and lining all that stuff up. So I've been busy from start to finish.
When you do that, do you leave a card? Because I might get some trade secrets from Rob. I will find a truck that I want to interview so bad, and then there's nobody there. And I'm like, dude, I need you to be here. And for me, even if I did leave a card, my ADD, I'm off on the other side of the whole grounds, and the guy will call me or something. And actually here, even if they tried to call you, I don't know if I'd get it, because that's the one thing about the show. We don't have great cell reception. I tried to make a post the other day. I think it took about 2 hours to get out.
Yeah, it's hard. I come back, I circle around, but I leave the card, and like you said, they'll call me like, they're calling from South Carolina. Who the hell is this? And you have to kind of play dumb. But yeah, that's the only way you can do it, you know. But if you've got ADD like you and I do, this is fucking hell.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot going on. Well, keeping print alive for sure. These guys in the Garage Media, again, they're out here. They're going to be out at the first inaugural Classic Grand National Truck Show next week in Pomona. So you are a busy man right now.
I got 2 days off when I get back. Wednesday we go out to Pomona and we start picking. We judge for the Truck of the Year on Thursday, and then we got the show. It's the first one. I'm looking forward to it. This was the first one too. And like I said, this blew my mind. So I'm looking forward to next weekend.
Okay. Well, Godspeed, and hopefully we can't see what comes out of the Triple Corrado routing, out of Classic Truck, Modern Rodding, and Chevy Performance. And then next week they're out at the first Grand National Truck Show. Rob, my pleasure as always.
Same here. Thank you very much, man.
Peace. Talk to me, Goose. I've got Mark, and I tell you what, Mark, I'm going to go on record right now and say this is my favorite 1978 Chevrolet. I remember when I saw this truck at LST. I remember seeing it again at SETN, and I don't know what it is about your truck, but it just gets finer and finer. So I'm glad that you got it, and it's one of those things where last time I saw it, the motor's a little different, and you just got all the right touches. So I truly do. I'm not just telling you this. This thing, color-wise, stance-wise, style-wise, you found the balance between old school GM and modern day, and you've brought it together.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. You know, I just wanted to have something that looked original but have a little twist, you know. So just, it's been a work in progress. I'm always trying to find something else just to do, but I've about run out of things to do now. So just freshly had the engine redone. Just wanted it all to look stock. You know, some people might not be their thing, but to me, that's what it's about, you know.
Yeah, good thing. It doesn't matter what their thing is. It matters what your thing is. And really, another thing you brought up, you freshened everything up. It's funny because I think people know, they might not know the year, but 77 is when Chevrolet decided to change the motor from what we all know as Chevy orange to corporate blue. And it's funny because when you think of blue, I don't know why. I'd love to know. I should dig in on this, but it's a Ford color to me, like a Ford motor, where Chevy was always so orange, and then they're like, oh yeah, let's do corporate blue and let's change it up. Well, you did it and you balanced it, and this thing, again, for the audience, you've taken a lot of the old school and a lot of new school and blended it all together in what is a modern, just a stunner.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, this is one of the things that, you know, I got into this to take my little girl to do something, and this turned into her truck. You know, a lot of people, they know it's come into a thing that they'll come up and ask her if it's for sale just to get her to say, not today, you know, and that come into the magazine article. So yeah, it's come into a father-daughter thing, and couldn't be any happier.
Good. Yeah, you talked about things that you haven't had a chance to keep changing. One thing I noticed you changed right away. I came up on it and I was like, oh boy, that's one of them engineered vintage grills. So you've been talking to Ben and you hooked it up, and it makes it pop for sure.
Well, when we first started talking, you know, they offered it in polished or brushed, and I said, do you think we can do the back and brushed and the front and polished to kind of give it a more factory look? And he said, well, yeah, we can do that. So I think he's doing several of them like that now.
Yeah, you started a fad. You know, the other thing too about the 78s, and I'm trying to think, I don't think I've seen too many 77s, but you've got the hood badge, you've got your stripes, you really have it all together, and you even brought it up. You were in the CK magazine, you were on the cover, and that, what an honor.
Oh yes, it's been blessed with this truck. You know, it's been on a couple the magazine, you know, the shirts for Battle of Alabama this year, C10's in the park that's coming up. It's truly an honor, you know, just been fortunate with the truck.
The other thing you guys have done, you've got the wheels, you've got your rallies, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
You've got your oversized rallies. Now, are those Detroits or are those U.S. mags?
Those are U.S. mags. The truck on the build sheet, it's a rally truck or rally wheel truck. So I thought I still wanted to keep it that look, but we went with 22s on the rear and 20s on the front. But air ride tech suspension, just to get the stance where I want it, So, it being the factory big block truck, I didn't want to cut the bed. I left the factory inner fenders, so it doesn't lay frame or anything, but it gets down to where I like it,
Yeah, and it's all there. He's got the jack, he's got the Delco battery, he's got the bumper pushers, he's got the US mags, he's got the hubcaps. You come on into the interior, his interior is perfect. And one of probably the most unique things you just don't see that often is a GM CB. That is so unique.
Oh yeah, when I got the truck from Mark Osborne out in Arkansas, I was fortunate enough to contact him at the right time. That's one of the things that I seen in it, and I knew right away it's staying. I don't have an antenna, but the CB's still functional. So I didn't want to take it out. It's who knows how long it's been there, and it's going to stay.
You put the bed rails back on. It's got the Big Tenn popping out. Really, it's one of those things where it's kind of a cowboy Cadillac, because when you think about some of the upgrades that this thing has, short bed, you got the stripes, you got the big block, it's got the rallies. It really would be one of those trucks where the old boy would have went downtown, he'd have ordered it, he would have been checking a lot of check boxes for all the little upgrades, and that's what you have.
Oh yeah, it's, I never realized that all of the things that you had to order with these things, just like the light buzzer, you leave the light on, the buzzer, it's got the buzzer. That's a factory option, it didn't come standard. Power windows and all that, so I'm very fortunate to get a hold of this thing, and as my little girl says, it's not going anywhere.
So. Not for sale. If you, when you come out to the shows, when we were just talking before, one of the things I think has got to make you feel great is like you and I, same age, we grew up in this era. But we had an old boy walk by. I'm talking, he's wearing the Triple Crown of Rotting shirt. He's got the cigar. And, I'm going to say he's at least 70, if not more. And he walked by and he said, damn, I like your truck.
Yeah, it's, everywhere we go, we get compliments. And that's it's humbling to see all the people that likes it. And I'm going to say I just love this stuff. So something that me and my daughter can do, and then all of the folks that love my vision, and some other folks that's helped along the way get it to where it's at, just I don't really know what to say, but I'm thankful that everyone likes it so well.
All right, so what's next? Just tidy all the little things up, leave it the way it is, drive it, and have fun.
It's done. It's I've done all I'm doing to it. It's. What you see now is what it's going to be.
All right. Social media, where can we check you out?
Mark Malone, Mark M2791 at on Instagram. I'm not real active on there, but you can find me there. You'll see a few pictures of the Big Ten. So I guess that's about all where you can find it at.
Well, or in the magazine or on these shirts or anything else. And of course, I'm going to do a walk around. I already did some pictures, but it's the real deal. It's one of those survivor trucks that he's blended together with modern day stuff. I always love it. Mark, thanks for taking time to be on the pod. And again, just keeping this the way it is. I truly do hope you'll just keep it the way it is, drive it, enjoy it. And the funny thing is, before you know it, she's going to be 16, 17. She's going to want to drive this, and it just goes so fast.
It's the years. We started going to shows when she was probably 3, and she's a trooper. She set 2-day shows in the 90-degree heat, and she loves coming. And as long as she wants to come, I'm going to do whatever I can to bring her.
Well, it'll be fun to get some video or see some pictures of her driving it. I remember my oldest daughter, which is my middle, I let her drive Orange Slice one time, and she's moving that steering wheel, and I go, babe, why are you so nervous? And she's like, well, I'm driving Orange Slice, and she's just nervous. I'm like, don't be nervous, just calm down, have fun, and enjoy the ride.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I remember here at the C10 Nationals last year at the same location here at Nashville Super Speedway, we took a lap around the track in it, and she had the biggest smile on her face, so I can't wait to see her driving it.
All right, well, it'll happen before you know it. It'll come fast. We appreciate your time. Mark, as always, love your truck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, brotherstrucks.com is your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration parts. So whether you are restoring an original or looking to customize that classic truck, brotherstrucks.com has thousands of the highest quality truck parts for you to choose from. So head over to brotherstrucks.com and order your free catalog today. And don't forget to follow Brothers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates and special offers too.
Since the 1960s, US Mags has held the title for the longest-running custom wheel tradition. Experience the wheels that made history and set the trends for American truck culture for decades to come. From cast wheels to full custom 1- and 2-piece forged wheels, US Mags keeps you and your truck in mind with every new design and model. Our cast wheel series are designed specifically for Chevy trucks and are stocked and ready to ship, giving you the wheels you need when you need them with perfect fitment. Set your ride apart with our custom forged wheels, available in just about any finish and fitment desired. US Mags are guaranteed to distinguish your style and attitude from the rest.
Hey guys, I've got Andrew from Painless Wiring on. Andrew, what's the latest?
Just working on producing these GM truck harnesses. They're our best moving vehicle specific, and we're just, super excited to be able to service such a great community of truck guys.
Made in the USA. You guys are probably cranking them out nonstop. A ton of our audience is out there buying these trucks, building these trucks, and they know, hey, Painless Performance has got me taken care of.
Factory options, aftermarket stuff. If you have any questions, call our tech guys. They'll walk you through anything you need to know, and we'll make sure your truck gets wired up right the first time.
If you want to clean up your underdash, you want to clean up your chassis, it's that easy. Painlessperformance.com, painlessperformance.com. Thanks, Andrew. All right. We are back with Bryan from Harrison's Rod and Customs, fellow firefighter.
That's it.
Thank you for your service, for what you do. We always kind of rumble and stumble about work and all the first world problems we have. So NSRA, you build this truck, you give it away. It is a stunner. You've got it out here at the Triple Crown of Rodding. Ironically, it is kind of a blend. Your style, your stance, the wheels, this champagne-y color, big block. How'd this all happen?
Well, they give a truck away or car away every year in Louisville. So had a friend, Will Seibel, he's a rep out of South Carolina. I said, how does that even happen? And he says, well, would you like to? And then we kept talking, and here we are. So I had sponsors in the truck industry that probably would never went to Street Rod show, and Street Rod sponsors are used to doing it. And we just all kind of said, hey, my guys are on this field, your guys are on this field. Why can't we all just play in the same field? So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I'm not exactly truck, and we're not exactly hot rod, so it just worked. And
well, it did work, and it is a good style, and it's a great style too. Like I said, for out here, because we're seeing the old hot rods, we're seeing the muscle cars, we're seeing the trucks, and I mean, there's a lot of variety out here. And then you've got the giveaway truck. Since you've given it away, well, let's go back. How long did it take? Because it's a stunner, and I can tell, like, I just got to sit inside of it. I got to smell it. I got to sniff it. We've just kind of walked through it all, and it is a very classy truck.
I appreciate it. We knew about 2 years ago. Now, you kind of keep it under wraps for a while until they announce who's building, and that gives the guy building the current year's truck or car his due. You don't really want to promote anything but them. And then once they released it, we really were getting hammered down on. We had a lot more done than people realized because we kept it under wraps. But we actually worked on the truck, actually right up to the day that we left to go to Louisville. We had a couple of things we wanted to do last because of trying to fit it up clean, not beat things up, and then found out we had a wire that wasn't grounded properly from a component that a company supplied us. I'm not going to name no names, mistakes happen. But they next day aired us apart, still didn't fix it, and we had to kind of sort through, figure out what was wrong, come to find out it was a nickel part. Recrimped the eyelet, truck was fine. So that kind of stuff happens, but it wasn't our fault, it's something that happened. But the truck come out of paint on, I think it was 12 or 14 days before we left to go to Louisville. And we assembled the truck in like 12 or 14 days. Fit and finish comes into play there. You do your legwork on the front end. It pays dividends at the end because you're not slotting holes or worried, does this fit or does it not fit? It fits 7 times not painted. It'll fit painted. So that's what we did. We just took that approach. Probably went a little harder at it than a giveaway truck should have been because you're eating up free labor hours, But there's some things we might have pushed a little deeper if we were, trying to go to a major show or an indoor show circuit or something like that. But we tried to give them a good truck, and that truck's a party. 502 horse, 502 cubic inch, Gandrud Performance Tennessee engine, Bowler Tennessee Tremec TKX, Moser M9 9-inch, Willwood brakes, hot shoe chassis. Shane sewn tight did the interior with Apex leather for us. PPG supplied the paint. Southern Auto Color out of Gainesville supplied some things to do with the paint and the actual mixed color, because the PPG factory can't mix colors. They send out the raw products, so we need somebody mixed colors. So my friend down there in Gainesville, he supplied the paint, advanced plating, vintage air, Losh give us the tubs, firewall, inner fender panels, AMD, everything we needed. AMD, one of the biggest suppliers on the truck is AMD, and their stuff, when you order it, it says it fits. You don't work on it. You take it out, you put it on. And then Johnson's Radiator Works supplied us with our radiator. And there again, talked to Alan on the phone. Here's what I need. We're trying to cool a big block. He's got AMD core supports, what they build off of. I took it out of the box. I put it in the truck. We didn't have to fab. We didn't have to monkey with nothing. We did our work on the front end with Alan, saying here's our measurements, here's what we need. It goes on the truck. Now you got a 502 horse sitting in traffic for an hour this morning, and I'm at 185, 190 in the fan cycle, and it goes down to hardly anything, comes back. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. So you got to do your legwork, got to get a plan, stick with it. And that's why a lot of our stuff, I guess people say our stuff looks the same, but we're doing a working combination that we've been doing for a long time. And some company treats us right, we stay with them. So we know what to expect from these companies because we've done it multiple times. And, All American Billet was a contact for us that came through Rob Fortier and AMD's relationship. So they supplied us with the hood hinges and the gas door and the bed. And then, it goes on from there. American Auto Wire, Black Label Coatings does all our powder coating, but they don't do frames. They don't have the oven capacity. So the frame went down to Tinsley Coatings in South Carolina. Well, Black Label took the Apex leather, and I said, I want the powder coat off the grain of this. I want 100-year-old looking leather. Mixed our color. He sends it to Tinsley. The consistency is perfect. The consistency with the paint's perfect because Southern Auto Color mixed off the powder. So it's just, you got to get a plan and stick with it. And there's a lot more to this stuff than some people realize, but.
Well, and the bottom line is Harrison Rod and Customs has been around the block. So when you think about this, you know the recipe, you know what works, and you know what creates headaches and what doesn't. So it's kind of like plan your work and work your plan, right? So when you do that and you've already got stuff drilled, you've got stuff powder coated, fit and fitment, like you said, it's like it's been assembled, disassembled, assembled, disassembled. Now we're going to send it off for paint, for powder, come back. You said All American Billet. Is that whose front drive system?
So that's a Vintage Air. That's their system. Okay. Now, here again, Vintage Air supplies that system with an alternator. PowerMaster Performance backs me. Everything we build, we do PowerMaster starters and alternators. They don't fail, and we continue to use them. So it came without the alternator, so we added the PowerMaster alternator because that's what we do. But, Billet Specialties gave us some shiny components, Sanderson headers, and then some guys out of Knoxville, Barrel Arrow Speed. You need to check these guys out because you talk about like vintage hot rod, these guys are where it's at. And their dad was involved with one of the first funny cars that ever went down the track. So super cool bunch to check out on Instagram. That's Barrel Arrow Speed. But they did a Borla exhaust from us where Borla supplied the builder kit. They supplied the mufflers. Barrel Arrow Brothers did the exhaust. QA1 supplied the coilovers and stuff, Kugel Performance, the front cross member. That's why the truck's this low and still lines up and still, it rides like a stock truck and you don't know it's that hammered. But, one of the first things that we ordered for the truck, Classic Instruments gauges, got our logo, NSRA's logo in them. They were in the building quickly. And American Racing, everybody knows we love American. That's what we do. The 474 gassers, Plump had those headed our way quick, and Willwood brakes.
Yeah, and the gassers really go with the style. When we talk at the beginning about this being kind of a triple crown, the hot rods, the muscle cars, and the trucks, this kind of build, it really does kind of combine the whole thing. And your color, your wheel, your stance, even before we pop the hood and look at the jewelry, the 502, it all kind of has that Harrison Rod and Custom. And when you think about it, these gassers and the stance with the square body trim, they're kind of meant to be together.
Yeah, and it's, these trucks, you're not going to beat GM styling. You've had the podcast where we talked to the designer. You're not going to beat what they had going on with this. Now, you can refine it, make it a little more custom, but they don't need much. And, the Marquet trim on this truck, they was happy to give us the trim. They hooked us up there. But even though it's all aftermarket panels, And AMD did like an hour seminar up here today about aftermarket panels. That Marquet trim was made to fit GM panels. Well, guess what? It fits AMD just like it fits GM. And here again, you get a plan, you go with it. My style's less is more. And I like for you to have to look at this thing 30 minutes and you go, oh man, I didn't see that. Well, what about this? Well, I didn't see that. And I don't know how many people that talk about the Diamondback tires being smooth, and people say, well, what's that? Well, there's no letters there. I've looked at this truck all afternoon and knows the tires are smooth. So I don't know. It's just, we were fortunate enough to be put in a position that companies want to share with you the best of the best that they have. And they're wanting to get on board. They appreciate the heritage of NSRA and wanting to do that. And you just took advantage of it and went on. I mean, another company, Precision Replacement Parts, they're not necessarily going to a lot of street rod shows, but, you know, vent window rebuilds and all the rubber for the truck, Derek sent all that to us. It fits like it's supposed to. Well, I knew that because we used it on the last how many trucks. So when time is critical and you don't have a lot of time for fitment and a whole lot of time for all this other stuff, you got to stick with what you know. And that's why we kept with these companies. I mean, it's just no reason not to. And I mean, these people tell you, well, you know, nowadays you just put a car together. And people beat that to death. Well, you just put a car together. Okay, keep thinking that, partner. There was a couple of years of work that went into why we can just put some of these parts together. So.
Well, and one of my favorite pods really is a guy by the name of Keith Seymour we interviewed, and he was on the front fenders at the factory. And, you know, we at times think, oh, make sure you keep these shims and do this and do this. Hell, they were slapping these things together so fast. At one point, he told me a truck a minute. So let me tell you that the gapping and some of those things, and you think about the waves and the panels, when somebody's going through and they're going through it as an individual shop who knows the parts to use, knows the fit and fitment, it's better than it was at the factory, to be honest with you, because you could have a Friday truck, you could have the after lunch truck, some guys having a bad day truck, who knows what truck. But Harrison Ron Customs is saying, I'm putting my name on this, and I've already used these companies and these components that I know. So kudos to you for really getting behind that and then bringing it out here. I think the last thing I want to kind of leave you with is this paint. And this paint, I just saw an old Impala go right behind us, and it was almost the same. So it's cool because not only is it a square body, but you brought it together with really a classic, and what I would say, a rich color. And I've been kind of champagning it. Where'd this come from?
It's 1962 Corvette. It's fawn gold. The roof is beige. You'll stand out here for a while before you realize the roof's another color, but that's the Adobe beige that was the two-tone color for the 62 Vet. Now, if you had a 61 with the painted side coves, it would have been the fawn with the beige in the coves. But those two colors were put together by GM. Here again, you ain't going to beat their colors. And if you look back at us and what we've done, we stick with these GM colors. It just worked out well. I mean, we liked it, and we've been saying for years the truck will look good that color. The only regret I've got is I never get to build my own that color. I've used it now, and I never get to do my own. So mine's getting a different color. But
you could still do it. Come on, we know you would do something with a little bit more pizzazz. You'll change it up somehow. Ultimately, I just think that what you did, the stance, everything that you've got here, it really does bring it all together. I think his name is Rocky, the winner.
He just happened to walk up behind you right here.
Well, perfect. I'm telling you guys, we did not know this.
It's my new buddy right here.
All right, is it Rocky?
Rocky.
Rocky, my name's Ronnie. I did not know he was standing behind me. What do you think about your new truck?
It's awesome. It is totally off the hook.
Color, stance,
everything. You couldn't ask for a better truck. I mean, it is amazing.
So, are you that type of guy that just puts in for it? Why not? Good cause. I'm not going to win. Or were you just like, what was your thought when they called your name?
Well, first of all, I was in shock, like I was in a bubble. It took a few seconds for it to really soak in that they called my number. And then I realized, oh crap, I got to holler. So I hollered to let them know that I was coming, because they drew 4 sets of numbers before mine, and they were all no-shows. So it was meant to be.
Yeah, you're lucky 5.
Yes, sir. That's my lucky number.
He's lucky because we're about to load it and go back to Tennessee with it.
We need to put a plate that says pulled number 5 or something like that, because that's pretty special. It's funny because it's a 502 and they pulled number 5, but this thing's going to hit the tour now. Well, I mean, you're going to take it around. You got it here. It's going to be back in a few weeks for C10 Nationals. Where else you taking it?
Run to the Sun in Myrtle Beach, hit some C10 shows, and just kind of see where I can take it.
Are you a truck guy, or were you a rod guy, or have you ever had trucks?
That's quite a funny question. I had a guy recently talk to me, and he said, yeah, I was giving a guy directions as to where you live, and I told him, I said, you know, the truck guy, because I've got about a dozen of them. And one of them sitting right over there, that's what won me this truck.
Is this your nicest truck now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the nicest one in the fleet. I just gotta feel like if you have that many trucks and this is now the nicest one, something got kicked out of the garage.
You know it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just how it was meant to be. So you're gonna take it around, you're gonna drive it, and then just have fun with it, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna be real gentle with it till the new gets off of it, and then I gotta do what I've preached to people for years. Drive them, because that's what's the fun about them, is drive.
Burnout, because I know Bryan, and I know this thing can do a burnout, especially with that 5-speed transmission.
Absolutely. I'm sure he can light them up. I'm a little scared of it right now.
Well, little by little, take your paces. Congratulations. We love this truck. And I don't know if you knew Bryan before, but we sure the hell did. And I'll tell you what, you've got one awesome built truck by one great man.
Yep, I never knew Bryan before, but we're going to be longtime friends.
All right. Thank you, Rocky. Congrats. Bryan Harrison's Rod and Customs. You guys can check him out on IG if you don't. If you don't follow UBT and you don't follow C10 Talk, I don't know where you've been, but he's all over the place. He's hustling. Again, thank you for your service. Thank you. He actually does have a real job, too. He's wrenching all the time. Thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you, buddy. Good to be here.
Peace. All right, I don't know if you saw my post, but Ricky posted it. And we just wrapped up Triple Crown of Rodding, and Ricky won for Lolita, the Uni-10, which is really the Blazer. It's kind of a unibody. Now, Kev Dog called it a unibrow,
yeah, he
and
called
that
it
shit was funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was hilarious.
and Dave's like, what did you just say? He's like, oh, I thought it said unibrow. But we've got Lolita, and I tell you what, Ricky, I mean, first of all, they don't make them any better than you. And your team and what you guys do, from, again, Charlie Brown, the Grinch, to Lolita and the Ricky Holly boys, bringing Houston style, big lip, just you know, pushing that envelope, but also giving us that style, making it look crisp and clean, just a little bit of caffeine. You guys took home another award. I mean, you're going to have to build another trophy case, because just since this thing debuted at SEMA, from Interior Awards to Houston Autorama, I can't even keep track. And that's just a guy who's sitting at home in Arizona. Now you got the Triple Crown of Rodding. You got the best truck for the, what is it, like 73 to 87.
Truck of the year.
Truck of the year. And that hardware and that guitar, congratulations.
I'm taking guitar lessons now.
Yeah.
But no, that was awesome. I mean, really, this is probably, I'm going to say, the biggest award that I have gotten so far. I mean, the amount of cars and the quality out here, it was second to none. So, I mean, this one really touched me on this one. This one, I almost teared up on this one.
Well, and again, I mean, dude, good for you. Kudos, because you're right. We're around, I mean, this is some high-level dudes that are judging these things, and some of the criteria, some of the trucks, some of the different, just, again, the talent that's out here. And Lolita shows up, taking home another, you know, not just one, but you got like 3 different awards taken home from here. So, I mean, you're killing it, brother.
Yeah, and I just want to thank my team, Alamo Customs, Mobile Toys, Drew Custom Builds. Without them, it wouldn't have been possible. Hey, and I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm excited right now.
Yeah, and you do. You have an amazing team. Obviously, you've got the Raceline wheels, the Marquet. The list goes on and on. But again, remember, your vision, you coming up with this, the unibody truck, you guys did it. The unibrow, Lolita, she's hot, she's fine. Triple Crown Rodding, the first one. I think this is a killer show. Oh, yeah. I think I could see you being back. I could see you being back with something else. You know, I know what you do. I know what you do. So you keep doing you. We'll keep putting a mic in your face. We appreciate your time. Again, Ricky Holly out of Houston, the Holly Bros. Keep pushing the envelope. Congratulations.
Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate you.
Peace.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. 269, the inaugural Triple Crown of Rotting. Again, I highly recommend this show for next year. We'll keep you abreast of everything. I didn't feel like the marketing was that great, and for what they had, it obviously had hit a lot of the Central, Midwest, and East Coast. I think once more West Coasters find out about it, hear about it, and work their way out there, it's only going to get bigger and better. So, again, we'll keep you posted on all that. We had a great time. Thanks for tuning in. Safe travels to everybody this weekend. Stay out of trouble. Do what you do. Leave us a review. It's that easy. Late.